Do you enjoy what you're currently listening to? Well, this is actually one of Hitler's rejected art school pieces. Hitler, real name Daniel Rosenfield, is a German musician most known for allegedly writing the Minecraft soundtrack. The Minecraft soundtrack has been a fond childhood memory of many a player, perfectly capturing the somber melancholy that Minecraft offers. It has been widely praised for not being too specific with its narrative, instead allowing the music to fit to a wide variety of scenarios, whether that be exploring a cave, mining for emeralds, or genociding a village, for the 53rd time this week. You can always rely on the soft sounds of a muffled piano to slowly bleed in as the villagers try to save their children from the burning houses you've bricked up. Despite most pieces being purposely forgetful and ambiguous, there is a track titled Sweden that often takes center stage for its iconic theme that you now hear. Sheep will have you believe that the title was inspired by the creators of Minecraft, who are Danish, but the truth is that Sweden carries a much darker meaning. The song may sound sweet, but that's exactly what Daniel wants you to focus on, to distract you from the clear, racially charged undertones that cause a great offense to our Inuit folk. You see, Daniel's magic does not work on us due to our prolonged exposure to Inuit folk music, which is half monotonal, half storytelling, and half whatever the opposite of music is. I'll try to explain the Inuit perspective as clearly as I can for you simpletons. A big part of what makes this diss track so nostalgic is the chord progression. It starts off with two minor chords, 2 and 3, finding temporary closure on the sustained 4 chord. This is a nice place to call home, but perhaps there are more wonders to discover in this world. The chord progression continues to explore the uncertain waters of the 3 and 6 chords, eventually finding its way back to the 4 chord, which for some reason doesn't exactly sound like home yet. Eventually, the sustained 1 or tonic chord is found, which sounds even more warm, comforting, and satisfying than a 4 chord ever could. It's the perfect resolution and the true home of the chord progression. However, how come the 4 chord sounded like home in the first half, but in the second half, it sounded so unsatisfying? This can partly be explained by the melody. In the first half, the note that accompanies the 4 chord is F sharp, which in the scale of D major is the 3rd degree. The interval from the 1st to the 3rd degree is the major third interval, which sounds quite pleasant and resolved. But in the second half, the note that accompanies the 4th chord is C sharp, which is the 7th degree. The 7th degree, also known as the leading tone, is known to be the most unstable degree, as it so badly wants to resolve back to the 1st degree, because it's only a half step away. In layman's terms, the note accompanying the 4 chord in the second half is saying, hey, wait up, there's still resolution to come, which is why it doesn't sound as satisfying or complete. However, what does this have to do with the Inuit? The first phrase has the 1 chord as the resolution, reminding one of home. But the second phrase moves back north to the sub-dominant 4 chord and chooses it as its home, which is an incomplete resolution when you listen to it. We long to return to the good old days when the tonic 1 chord held us in its warm arms. But in the second half, Daniel mocks us once again by settling on the 4 chord to remind us of the grim reality that we'll never get that 1 chord back. Furthermore, the 4 chord is not an accident. It's actually a reference to our musical scale, which, you guessed it, only has 4 notes. Additionally, from a sonological point of view, the Inuit instrumentation is admittedly quite limited, residing mostly with handmade percussions, vocals, and sometimes even plucked instruments. And Daniel does include a small plucky harp in the song to represent our own percussive texture, without being too obvious, of course. Nefariously, he then slowly drowns it out with the piano, an instrument which symbolizes Western culture, essentially creating a metaphor for the loss of Inuit culture through Westernization. The punchline of Hitler's sick joke is that the Inuit people are slowly being erased due to Westernization, land lost from melting ice caps, alcoholism, high suicide rates, and an unaccounted for genocide from the Canadians. It's all a big replacement, if you will. This is utterly unacceptable, and anyone who plays Minecraft with the music still on is part of the problem. Fortunately, there is a pirate who goes by C418 who has ripped all of Hitler's music and made it publicly available for his own personal gain. As a protest, I would urge you to please check out his rips, and even purchase a few albums if you have the heart. I truly believe he is a genius and a very underrated pirate. Links to his socials are in the description below.